So I mentioned this channel in my latest video, uh, questioning whether in the midst of their whole anti-woke, or as I might say, woke 2.0 awakening revolution, whatever the hell you want to call it, why aren't they talking about Klaus Schwab and the gang, right? The smart city surveillance, slavery infrastructure, and how, for example, the current crisis in Eastern Europe is helping to bring that about, right? Well, they can't talk about that, uh, whether they know it or not, because that's exactly what they're doing, right? They're fighting a war um, to help bring about the same sort of thing, which is why they're not talking about it, right? This is this is classic divide and conquer, right? It's so crazy because it wasn't but maybe what, not even 10 years ago that you had Max Kaiser on RT talking about the banking cartels, right? And now that's mostly gone now, right? Everyone's talking about LGBT, BLM, you know, Creepy Joe and kids locked up in basements and like all the shit that's. I'm not saying that none of these are at all important, right? Immigration, but these talking about these issues is barely scratching the surface. It's not getting to the bottom of why these things are an issue in the first place. Now, you could talk about that, right? But to like devote your entire channel to this right wing wokeism, right? While at the same time saying nothing about the World Economic Forum. I mean, that's pretty suspect, right? These sort of, whether these people know this or not doesn't matter, right? Like I said, either they're not as smart as they think they are, or they're shills, right? And I guess that would depend on the individual. But what these operations are, right? These are psychological operations designed to be energy vampires, right? You're supposed to waste time bickering about, at the end of the day, minor issues, right? Things that aren't all that important, not as important as other things, so that you don't talk about so that you don't talk about the most important issues, and so that you're so tired and preoccupied and just drained by with bickering online with other NPCs that you don't actually do anything about anything at the end of the day. How many of these people, whether it's these people here on your screen or those that um, agree with what they have to say or even disagree, how many of these people are actually doing something, right? If you want to look at the people on the left, well, how many of them are taking immigrants into their homes, right? Giving money to the immigrants or whatever, setting up support networks for the immigrants, right? And if you want to talk about the right, well, how many of them are actually doing something to stop the immigration, right? 99% of 99% of those, 99% of the energy of 99% of these people engaged in this conversation is spent on the very conversation itself and nothing else, right? And excuse me, I'll prove it to you, right? Um, you know, give me 1 second. Because, excuse me, because for these people to be able to do something about this, right? They would have to first and foremost realize their part in it. Why is it that this is happening all the way around? And they'd have to realize that the reason why it's happening is because they are also causing this to happen. They are, I'm not going to put a percentage on how big of a problem in this whole thing, but it's they're definitely complicit in this, right? It's also their fault. So take immigration for this, and this is how complex all this stuff is, right? Take immigration, for example. Um, when you look at the birth rates in the West, right, they're below replacement levels for the most part, right? Many places, which is why Roe v. Wade was overturned in the States, right? That's why a lot of people supported it and pushed for it, right? Because the empire needs soldiers. Duh. I don't know why it didn't occur to me earlier, but maybe I'll make another video about that. Anyway, I don't know what it's in England or the UK, but I think as things stand right now or recently, right, every couple, for every two people, you have like something like 1.6 kids, right? So they're below replacement levels, the birth rates, right? Meaning that the population is shrinking, right? Now, I don't know why you'd want to even preserve British culture, right? I haven't even heard one single coherent argument for why anyone would want to do that, right? Well, what about the Scottish culture, right? What about the Welsh culture, right? What about um, oh, the was it the Pike? Whatever, like pick a little every little or big tribe that made up the British Isles eventually, right? The British, um, the United Kingdom, if you will. Or why not preserve those cultures, right? Why do we have to uh, preserve this culture with globalist aspirations, right? The British Empire that tramples all over all these individual cultures while at the same time saying we're anti-globalist, right? I'm telling you, the right-wing wokes are just as incoherent as the left-wing wokes. And I know this upsets a lot of you, right? Because like I haven't chosen a side, right? I'm not on the left. I'm not on the right. You need to pick a side, right? Come on. Why would you expect me to? Like you haven't been paying attention to what I've been saying for years or however long you've been here. Why would I choose a side? Which side? It's a false dialectic. It's all bullshit, right? Um, and besides, I've already chosen the side. I told you a long, 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 long time ago. So let me repeat it here, right? I'm team people. Okay, I told you this years ago. My standards, I have standards, right? I changed my views on various issues like democracy. Maybe I'll make a video about that. Change my opinion on democracy. But, or I've refined it maybe. But, the, you know, the foundation is still the same, right? Team people, right? Like, and I know this is very difficult to understand for all the NPCs who just fall on one side or they play for the blue or the red team or the left or the right team, however you want to look at it, right? It's very, very, very difficult for them to understand what's going on, right? Because if I say anything that's like pro the innocent Ukrainians, for example, that are dying, right? Then I'm, I'm a leftist, I'm a communist, and I'm a shill. And if I say anything, although that doesn't happen nearly as often, because I don't do that as much, right? If I say something about the innocent Russians that are dying in the conflict, right? Then all the Putin stooges probably feel if they haven't been saying much to begin with, right, on this channel because YouTube probably removes their angry, incendiary, comments. B, they don't have anything to say, right? What can you say, right? Go ahead and say it. I keep asking you guys, make the shit that you guys believe makes sense. You can't, right? Just like I said in the comment in my last video, you're anti-immigration, but you're pro Putin's imperialistic war. How fucking incoherent can you be? Right? You pro preserving culture, but you're also pro destroying the Ukrainian people. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't make any fucking sense, right? I'm team people. Get over it. I know it's difficult to deal with. It's easy to see when we're all making fun of vegans, but that, at the end of the day, that's all that was, right? We were just commiserating, I guess. Making fun of fucking idiots. Let me take a sip of my coffee, try to get back on track here. But yeah, look at these videos. Where's Klaus and the gang, right? Where's the World Economic Forum? Right? Where's the discussion of any of this? Where, right? They prop up or bemoan, they prop up the royal family or bemoan the death of the queen, but the royals are frequent attendees of the World Economic Forum, and they push the green agenda. They push the World Economic Forum agenda in the UK, right? These motherfuckers are incoherent, right? They're anti-woke culture, and now they're pushing anti-white racism where there isn't any, right? Well, maybe there's some, but you know, how to fight back. This is classic divide and conquer energy vampires, right? Anyway, and this is the truth about Russia and Ukraine. Konstantin Kisin. Is any relation to Kissinger? Well, anywhere in this motherfucker's interview, right? Konstantin, who's so intelligent supposedly, right? Where anywhere in this interview, Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, smart city, prisons, will any of that get mentioned? No. Seriously doubt it. Defend our history, right? Defend the British Empire. Fight against the globalists. Oh, those globalists with a different vision than the globalists leading you, right? Anyway, let's get back to the topic of immigration. And just to show you more incoherence, right? Birth rates in the West, but let's just stick to the UK, right? The nation of UK. They're well below replacement levels, right? Well under 2. For every 2 people, there are something like 1.7 maybe people being born, right? So that's a bad trend for UK, right? How do you, because that's eventually going to result in an economic downturn, right? That's just what happens if you can't maintain, the kind of population you have. You're not going to be able to fill all these. Do I need to explain this? Maybe. I don't know. I'm probably not the best at doing that. But for example, right, whatever jobs exist out there to keep the country going, right? Like farmers, people in all kinds, just whatever it takes to keep the British uh, empire going right now, right? Well, these are all the people we need, right, to keep our economy stable or growing. Generally, you want, obviously, innovation and things of that nature help, but generally you want to be able to replace the people, right, to support the old people that can no longer work and contribute to the economy, unless you want to inject some experimental potions into them and get rid of them that way. That's that's one method too. But anyway, the Brits aren't replacing themselves fast enough in order to be able to uh, keep their economy stable or growing, right? And in order to be an empire in some way, shape, or form, to remain as for the British Empire's position to remain what it is in the world, right? They need people, right? Every farm needs fucking livestock, right, to keep going. And you conservative cunts, right? All of you traditionalists, all of you, pro British Empire, anti global, incoherent dummies. Well, you're not making enough babies, right? To preserve your culture, right? You want to preserve your culture and your way of life and all these other things, but you're not making enough babies to do that. The fuck? This is how incoherent you are. You know what I mean? Most of you jibber jabbering about this, you know, being so anti woke and so like awake and conscious and da 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 da. You know how the world should be and what's right and what's wrong, yada yada, motherfucking yada. Like, you don't want to have kids. A lot of you. You don't want to do any of that. You just want to sit there and fucking complain. How do you maintain your way of life without replacing? Right? You're saying genocide. Why genocide? They're genociding us. Well, why aren't you having babies? I mean, holy fuck. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, uh, and yeah, there's definitely, like, again, it's so complex. These conversations are so complex because there's so many different rabbit holes you could go down, right? Like, well, the infertility rates or the fertility rates in the West are dropping. Well, why is that? Well, bad food, uh, you know, medical industrial complex with their potions. You know what I mean? Um, estrogen in fuck our clothes. Yeah, estrogen in our clothes, water, food, all that stuff, right? Whatever it is that they spray you with when you walk into a bathroom into some of these countries, and there's like a little squirt or something. Well, what the fuck is in there, right? What, for starters, triclosan, right? Like, um, a pesticide. You a fucking roach. Oh, right. So yeah, it's true, probably, right, that someone has a vested interest in lowering, and this isn't like this. It's not like the British government is parliament or whatever is so cohesive that all of them agree on all this and they just you know meet behind closed doors and discuss this and all of them agree that this is the way it should go. No, it's so much more complex than that, right? But yeah, you could put a lot of blame on Western fertility rates dropping on, let's say, the globalists or people who want to destabilize British society, right? They want to divide and conquer us. They want to import a lot of immigrants, right? So they do these various things to drop your fertility rates, to piss off, as spoken about in another video, people in other countries, to demolish their countries, destroy uh, their growing prosperity, like what happened in Libya, right? To motivate them to leave, right? And then they open the doors for them, so they come to UK, for example, or wherever, and you know help to stabilize society, divide and conquer, yada yada, set people against one another, so on and so forth, right? Keep you fighting amongst each other so long as you don't fight them. Like, really basic shit, right? Which doesn't mean that like everybody in parliament meets and says we need to spray British white bathroom goers with raid. Like, it doesn't work that way. But you know, that's one of the things that is contributing, right? If indeed that is what's happening. I know it was in Chile, like, and other places in the world that I've been to, in the Western world. Like, you walk into a bathroom or something, and there's some kind of sensor, and then there's just this, like, air freshener on the wall or something that just like sprays you. Well, what else is in there anyway? Right? Food, bad food, uh, medical experiments, so on and so forth. Like, yeah, fertility rates are dropping in the West, no doubt about it, right? And you're also being brainwashed to not have kids, right? Access to abortion has been increased, yada yada yada. Like, you've been moved in this direction to have less kids by various factors. Some of it probably just coalescing for whatever. It doesn't even matter, right? But that is the case. You're not able to replace yourselves, British people, at the end of the day, in order to be able to maintain your way of life, right? You're not. That's a fucking fact. So, if you want to maintain some kind of semblance of your lifestyle, your culture, however you want to call it, right? You have no choice but to bring people in to help support your economy, to prop it up. You got no choice. You need people to fill these jobs, right? But there's strings attached. Those people aren't part of your culture. Obviously, that's going to transform and change the culture, right? So who do we blame, right? Well, maybe instead of bickering online all day about all this NPC shit, right? Maybe you get down and dirty and make some babies, some white babies, if that's what you want, right? Do you? No, you just want to sit on the internet and complain all day, right? What did I get wrong? Again, what? What don't I understand? Hmm? If you want to preserve, like I told you, if you want to preserve culture, go fucking preserve culture, right? But but these are the sorts of things you're going to have to tackle. These ideas, the reality, right? If if you step out of this metaverse 0.5, let's call it what it is, right? You're gonna have to step out of this motherfucking metaverse and do some real work, do some real thinking about real issues. You're gonna have to confront the truth, right? These are the tough questions you're gonna have to ask yourself. How do I preserve my way of life, my culture, my Britishness, my whiteness? How do I preserve that, right? How? Well, how do you do it? But I don't want to have kids. But then go fuck yourself. Stop bitching and moaning. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Why is this rocket science? Why is this fucking rock? I don't know. Why is it? Thanks for watching.